Hey, welcome back to the channel, or welcome to the channel. Either way, I hope you're having a great day, and I hope you're ready to hear a little bit more about a game that's been taking the cozy gaming space by storm for the last little bit. I'm talking, of course, about Infinity Nikki. In case you, like myself, are new to the Nikki franchise, they're a series of anime-styled games which center around dress-up, and until now, that's basically been their entire thing. The franchise started with some mobile games and eventually made the move to slightly more involved gameplay and mechanics. Now, to be clear, I'm coming to the Nikki franchise totally fresh. I didn't play any of the Nikki Up to You games or any of the other entries in the franchise. The first I've heard of it was, I'm pretty sure, when it got announced at the Game Awards, I think last year, so I'm sure there's plenty of context that I'm missing that all you diehard Nikki fans can inform me of down in the comments. However, it doesn't seem this is an altogether unique experience, as most of the other YouTubers that I've seen talking about it also seem to be first-timers to the franchise as well. And I think that was the idea with this game. See, most of their other games, like I said, were just kind of basic mobile dress-up games, and that's not to throw shade on mobile dress-up games, but they don't exactly blow up the gaming scene when one gets released. Infinity Nikki, however, did. Not only because it's a great game, and we'll get into that, but also because they had a big PR push. Now, I wasn't creating content when the other Nikki games were released, but given that mobile games generally don't have as large budgets as full-fat PC and console games do, I would be pretty surprised if they had a partner program like they spun up with Infinity Nikki. Now, this is a pretty normal practice. You get your game into the hands of press a bit early, or you give them some kind of incentive to cover your game with the hopes of getting it in front of as many interested eyes as possible. Now, it's not a bad thing, and I personally declined the partner program because I wanted to see if the game was any good on my own, just like any of you would, without the support or anything like that from the devs directly. But this does show a big change in who they're marketing their games to, and a general change in the philosophy behind their games, at least as far as I'm able to tell. So, to explore that, let's check out the game. First and foremost, this is a dress-up game, and that runs throughout every aspect of the game. Every ability your character Nikki has is connected to a different outfit. So, for this game's version of something like the Breath of the Wild glider, you have the bubble outfit, and to collect different little creatures, you have the nature outfit, and to interact with your furry friends, you have your pet grooming outfit, and so on. Now, I find this progression system to actually be a really refreshing take on the skill tree concept. I'm used to skill trees just kind of being a background element which don't really tie into the gameplay outside of giving you different abilities, but with the way they implemented it into this game, I think it really makes for a much more engaging experience. Though I do feel like they should let you customize those outfits, because while they are well integrated, I didn't love the actual look of a good portion of them, and given that this game is about playing with style and customizing your look, it seems weird to have that be a limitation and not let you customize these core looks. But that's a pretty small nitpick, honestly. Overall, I think the way the skills are implemented works really well, and gives a lot of motivation to find the next ability outfit and see what it looks like. What I think really makes this game stand out is the way that they combine the tropes that you expect of action-adventure games like Breath of the Wild with things that are a bit more emblematic of dress-up games. I think what I'm trying to say is that Infinity Nikki feels a bit like a free-to-play dress-up game take on Breath of the Wild. And I know that sounds kind of crazy and hyperbolic, and perhaps it is, but I don't think I'm alone in the feeling that this game feels uniquely Nintendo in a lot of ways, and more importantly, uniquely modern Nintendo. And to be clear, I'm not saying that it is a dress-up game version of Breath of the Wild, simply that it feels similar to the concept. It very much doesn't share the same art style, it's not the same kind of high fantasy setting, and I wouldn't say I feel any immediate Ghibli inspiration. But it plays like a Nintendo game, and that's something that I think we don't see enough of in games that are not made by Nintendo. One of Nintendo's major advantages, and honestly I think the thing that's keeping them afloat in the games industry, is that feeling that you get when you play a Nintendo-published game. Whether it's the technical polish, the story, or the gameplay, Nintendo games always hit different, and I think that the team that made Infinity Nikki absolutely succeeded in capturing that magic. That's not, however, to say that Infinity Nikki is without fault. For one, it's a free-to-play game, and as with all free-to-play games, they have a plethora of different currencies for you to waste your real-world money on. I want to be clear, though, I actually don't think there's anything wrong with spending some money on cosmetics in free-to-play games. After all, they had to do just as much work to make it as a studio who would charge for it up front would, so throwing some money their way is absolutely fine. However, most free-to-play games don't make it as simple as, oh, here's a few bucks, thanks for the game. No, usually they lean on your personal psychology and attempt to manipulate you out of your money. And that is where it gets a lot less acceptable for me personally. Getting paid for their work is one thing, but playing into gambling addiction and the social pressure created by limited time cosmetics is just scummy. Fortunately though, I can report that Infinity Nikki doesn't really rely on those more scummy tactics to take your money. For one, all the clothes can be obtained in-game without having to spend money, so the in-game purchases are simply there to make that process go faster. And while they do have some limited time events and gambling mechanics, I don't think they're all that egregious because, again, everything is obtainable within the base game. But I'm not going to sit here and tell you how to spend your money. If you think it's worth it, then that's 100% your decision. Just know that aside from the few limited time special outfits, you don't actually need to spend any money to get different outfits, and you can absolutely just get them by just playing the game. And that brings me to my favorite part of the game, the dress up. So, as I mentioned, the abilities that you have are tied to different outfits, but those are separate from your user-created outfits, and those are where it gets really fun. You have so many options to use to dress Nikki up, and there are so many different accessories and clothing pieces, it's hard to imagine running out of ways to make a cute outfit. All these can be purchased at these little shops around the world with the in-game currency, which you can find scattered throughout the world, and you can get as a reward for any number of things, from minigames to completing quests and challenges. Each piece of clothing has different stats in terms of style. So some pieces will be super high on the cool scale, and some will be particularly high on the cute scale and stuff like that. And you might wonder what the point of putting those things on a scale is. Well, not only can you dress Nikki up to look how you want, but you can also participate in style challenges. In these, you're given an objective to hit. The first you find in the world is a coolness challenge, and so you need to max out the coolness of your outfit. In the case of this first kind of tutorial challenge, that just so happens to be the fishing outfit, which I have no clue why is ranked so high on the cool scale. I mean, look at it. It's one of the more nerdy looking outfits of the game, which is fine. I mean, I love nerdy looking outfits, but it's not exactly what I think of when I think of cool. But regardless, that's basically how these challenges go. You challenge someone, or you're challenged by someone, and you have to put together an outfit to beat theirs, and if you do, you get a reward. This mechanic then incentivizes you to pick up as many different styles as possible, even if you wouldn't normally have your Nikki walking around with them every day. This is probably the best dress-up mechanic I've seen in a game, period. Now, to be clear, I'm not a frequenter of dress-up games, so I could be objectively wrong here, but every game I've played that has a dress-up mechanic has been some kind of RPG, so usually those outfits serve some purpose. And to be clear, I'm talking about the overall dress-up, the options that you get, not the style challenges. So for me, playing a game that's entirely centered around dressing up your character is such a great change of pace. As much as I do enjoy the game, though, I do have a couple more issues that I would be remiss not to mention. For one, there is little, if any, customization of Nikki themselves. So, if you want your Nikki to reflect you more closely, you're out of luck, unless you happen to have this exact body type. Now, I understand that essentially what we're doing here is playing with a dress-up doll, and for the same reasons, mannequins aren't made to look like any kind of real-life human being, neither is Nikki, but I just think that it would have been nice to have the option not to only have Nikki be this unobtainable anime girl body type. And that kind of thinking propagates into the rest of the world too. There are, as far as I can tell, no fat people in Flourish, which, I mean, isn't exactly representative of the real world, but more importantly, is just kinda lazy. This game seems to me to be selling the idea that unless you're this one very specific body type, clothes won't look good on you, and for a game that's basically an extension of playing with a Barbie doll, that's a pretty crappy message to be pushing. I mean, even Barbie have become more size inclusive. Now, I know this is something that's been an issue with these kinds of things for a long time now, and is likely heavily influenced in this particular instance by the culture that made the game, and it's not likely to change anytime soon. I just think it's a missed opportunity is all, and I wanted to point it out. It never hurts to give people the option to have their character look like them if they want to, though that then obviously does make it a bit harder to custom make the clothes so that no matter what you put on, they always look great. And I have heard from other people who play the game that they actually enjoy the lack of body type customization because it just lets them focus on the outfits, and instead of having to picture themselves in the place of Nikki, they can just see Nikki as a separate person and use her like a Barbie doll of sorts. So, I don't know, maybe I'm being a bit too harsh on it. All I can say is that I think it would have been nice to be able to play with my character's body type even a little bit. Though that does bring me back to the last thing that I did enjoy about the game, and that's something I really didn't expect going in, and that is the lack of sexualization. Okay, hear me out. Depictions of women in anime don't have the best reputation when it comes to needless over-sexualization, and I believe the in-world term is fan service. And seeing this game's trailers and other press material, I was a bit concerned it would be just another waifu game like Genshin Impact. You know what I'm talking about. Needlessly skimpy outfits which are really just made to appeal to the male perspective, and an uncomfortable pervasiveness of childlike features mixed with quite mature content. Yeah, that stuff. Well, I'm happy to report that there really isn't any of that here, at least none that I could see. Yes, the clothes do definitely lean more toward hyperfemme than anything, and if you're more into the mask vibe, this may not be the game for you, because there's really nothing in the way of masculine options, but hyperfemme absolutely does not mean sexual. There's all kinds of frilly little dresses and tight clothes, but they don't feel like they're simply catering to the male audience. No, they definitely feel like styles that I could actually see someone wearing out in public. And part of that, I think, is because the entire conceit of this game is that you're playing dress up, which is stereotypically a highly feminine thing to do. And ignoring the possibility of breaking gender norms, I think their target audience is more feminine. So it makes sense that they wouldn't really need to do that same kind of fan service that something like Genshin Impact would, where Genshin Impact's gameplay was more geared towards all different types of gamers. Overall, this is a really solid game, and I think it does a really great job of staying away from a lot of the tropes of free-to-play games that really drag down that genre. It's cute, it's fun, sure it's a bit simple, but who cares? It's a game about playing dress-up. It doesn't need to be some FromSoft level thing. I'm perfectly happy for it to be a game you can just chill out in. I think we need more of those, just in general. But that's all for today's video. I hope you've gotten something useful from watching this, and if you were considering trying this game out, I say go for it. It's totally free to play, and given just how much you can do without spending a dime, I think it's totally worth a shot. Oh, also, I'm going to be spinning up a Discord. If you would like to join that, I'll go ahead and leave a link in the description. It'll just kind of be a place for you to have a little bit better access to me. If you would like to discuss any topics surrounding gaming, making, cozy stuff in general, video suggestions, game suggestions, all that kind of stuff. I'm hoping we can kind of build a little bit of a community over there. And yeah, so I'll leave the link to that in the description, and go join it if you would like. Other than that, I'll just say thank you so much for watching. I hope you have a great day. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and ring the bell so you never miss a video. And as always, happy gaming.